Welcome into the Sporting News Studios for First and 10, your weekly look at college football with Sporting News college football writer Matt Hayes. My name is Tom Vandervoort, and of course, First and 10 is brought to us each and every week by our good friends at Allstate. And Matt, it feels like the landscape is shifting and more madness is on the way.
Tom, last week, Maryland goes to the Big Ten. Rutgers goes to the Big Ten. Tom, Rutgers was literally, a year and a half away from being completely insignificant in the Big East, in the new college football structure, to being saved by the Big Ten, maybe the biggest and baddest conference of all, or at least right there with the SEC. It's crazy, and I'll tell you what, it's going to get a little more crazy if one little thing happens there that's connected to that Big Ten expansion. If Maryland can somehow get out of that $50 million buyout clause that they have to pay the ACC to get out of the ACC, if they can chop that down a little bit to $20 million maybe, you're going to see a little bit more movement. You're going to see Florida State, Clemson, maybe looking toward the Big 12. You have to understand with this conference realignment, Stephen, it's about two things. It's about television sets and it's about desperation. The SEC started because they wanted to get into the Texas market. Then they got into the St. Louis and Missouri markets. The Big Ten wanted Nebraska, got Nebraska. It wasn't so much a television market deal. It was kind of settling because they couldn't get Notre Dame. Then the Big Ten said, wait a second, we need television markets. That's why you get Rutgers. That's why you get Maryland. And now here sits the Big 12 with 10 teams needing something. The Big 12 already expanded out of desperation to save the conference when they got TCU and West Virginia. So now here they are, and you look at the Big 12, there's two prime markets still sitting there. The Florida market with Florida State and a little bit of the Southeast there in South Carolina with Clemson. That puts them at 12 teams. That allows them to once again have that championship game, which once again generates more revenue. We still got a long way to go in this process.
Do you see where this is all heading? I mean, is there an end game here as far as where this all nets out? Are we in the middle of a big process, and is there an end game in your mind? I
think what you're looking at, Tom, is four major conferences. Right now, we've already lost the Big East from the quote-unquote major heavy-hitting BCS conferences. The ACC has been damaged with the loss of Maryland. And I think right now you're coming down to the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 figuring out ways to strengthen themselves, be it by expansion, be it by new television deals. That's how this will all end up.
You know, Matt, a lot of college coaches went down this week, and it seems like in our what have you done for me lately culture, these guys have less and less time to prove themselves.
2 years is the new 3 years, and 3 years used to be the old 4 years or 5 years. Or here's the reality. You got to win right now if you're a college coach. It's not about, okay, we're going to give you 4 or 5 years to get your recruiting classes all in order and try and win games and try and improve the program. It's about, hey, here's your job, here's your millions, win right now. I think anyone who saw John Embry's emotional press conference yesterday realizes that this is about wins and losses. It's not about what happens outside the scope of the white lines. It is purely about, can you win, how fast can you win, and how quickly can we get there. And I think it's disappointing, but it's also the reality of the situation right now. I mean, you have to win. You look at Turner Gill. He was out after 2 years at Kansas. You look at Ellis Johnson right now at Southern Miss. By the time you watch this or read this, Ellis Johnson could be fired. 1 year at Southern Miss. They were winless, and now it looks like he's in trouble.
Okay, so we know a bunch of guys had trouble this year, but a bunch of coaches had very, very good years. In fact, just like the college football season, it's been wacky, and it is wacky when you try to figure out who's the coach of the year. Who do you think the coach of the year is this year?
Good luck. That's all I got to say. You want to choose a coach of the year, good luck. I mean, obviously, you start out by saying that, look at Notre Dame, 5-loss team last year. You look at how Brian Kelly has worked that team, how he's helped Everett Golson develop as a redshirt freshman quarterback, how he's got that team ready to play week after week. And I think you got to say he's near the top of the list. And then all of a sudden you say, wait a second, what about Bill O'Brien at Penn State? Look at what he did. No coach, Tom, went through what he did and had to go through and had more success. You look at the Pac-12. Look at David Shaw. They lose Andrew Luck. They slide right in there with 2 quarterbacks. I think you look at the SEC. Look at Will Muschamp. That's a 6-loss team. Look at them now. They're 11-1. They're playing as well as anyone in the country. Look at Kevin Sumlin. Takes Texas A&M first year in the SEC. Everyone said there's no way that Texas A&M can compete in the SEC. They win 10 games. They win in Tuscaloosa. Very, very impressive job. And then you look at the Big Ten. Look at Urban Meyer, a 7-loss team last year at Ohio State. Completely discombobulated. You look at that team, unbeaten in the Big Ten. Unfortunately, they're ineligible, can't play for the national championship, or they'd be right now in a situation where they're in the Big Ten championship game, playing for the right to play for it all. Just a lot of really good jobs out there.
That's going to do it for First and 10 from here in the Sporting News studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks for watching.